You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chilson, and this is my review for Red Sonja. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. Red Sonja is a 2025 action fantasy film directed by M.J. Bassett, based on characters created and written by Robert E. Howard. Captured, chained, and forced to fight for survival, Red Sonja must battle her way through the blood-soaked empire of a tyrant, while rallying an army of outcasts to reclaim her freedom, to take down Dragon and his ruthless bride, Dark Anicia. The film stars Robert Sheehan, Wallace Day, and Matilda Lutz as Red Sonja. So I've been excited for Red Sonja ever since I first learned we were getting a new film adaptation of this iconic character. Now, I've seen the old Bridget Nielsen film. It's a film. And that's really the extent of my Red Sonja knowledge. However, I thought the trailers looked like a lot of fun. I attended the panel at San Diego Comic-Con. The clips looked cool. The cast seemed really involved and really passionate about the story they were telling. So I was fully on board. Plus, give me a badass female superheroine in the lead of this comic book adaptation that's also a fantasy film. Yeah, you kind of got me sold. So I have been watching like a hawk ever since San Diego Comic-Con for these tickets to go on sale because it was a one-night only event. Red Sonja was only playing in theaters tonight, August 13th, before it hits digital later this month. So if you missed the theatrical event, don't fret because Red Sonja will become available to stream later in August. But is it worth the stream? I guess that is the question for this review. And my answer is yeah, I had a blast with Red Sonja. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. Well, I want to kick things off with Matilda Lutz, who plays Red Sonja in the film, because I thought she was fantastic. She really embodied this character. The ferocity with the vulnerability mixed into the overall warmth and heart at the center, at the heartbeat of this character. Not only was she a big warrior princess type, but she was also really caring and really empathetic. I loved that she stayed so true to this character, to her teachings, right down to what may be seen as a controversial final decision in the film. But the way she paid respect to everyone was great. I thought she killed it in all of the big battle sequences. She looked awesome doing it. We get her in that OG, super old school, really slinky little tiny bits of armor, the bikini armor, but we also get an updated version that still pays tribute and homage to the original. She was just great, and I would love to see her as this character again after the film. Also, I have to give a huge shout out to Red Sonja's horse, Sunder, in this film. He's amazing. And I'm so glad they made the choice to make him kind of an actual supporting character of the film. He plays a big part in this film, actually, much bigger than I would have anticipated. But this horse had so much character, and I loved it. He gets laughs. Of course, as an adorable animal, you're rooting for him to be okay, but he also plays some key parts in the narrative I wasn't anticipating. So I loved her horse. I also loved Robert Sheehan as our emperor here. It was the perfect amount of over the top acting for this type of role. And I love what they did with both him and Dark Anicia, the character. They have arcs in and of themselves that are very interesting and a nice commentary. This film actually is really ripe with commentary. It's heavily focused on the natural world and an environmental message that works really well, but also classism, slavery, and even our two main villains get an interesting arc that weaves its way into that social commentary really, really well. And some of these side characters are a lot of fun too. Now, some of the side characters acting, not the best, but particularly I really loved this very fetching prince character that we're introduced to. And his arc in the film is really fun, and he is definitely charming enough to play this character. But I have to give MJ Bassett a lot of credit because I think the film is very well directed and it's a lot of fun and does what it needs to do on a very small budget. This is an independent film that has a tiny budget in comparison to the big comic book movies we're used to. And I think they do the most with it. It's shot primarily on location in these forests, in these woods, on a set. We get some practical effects that look great. The makeup work looks fantastic in this film. We actually have these two baboon human hybrid characters, and that makeup was amazing. So, of course, not all the CGI is fantastic, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of that CGI later. But then we also get scenes where the CGI looks really good and the character designs are fun and innovative. The cinematography mostly looks quite nice, and they utilize the natural landscapes they're given. Plus, that original score, the music in this film is awesome. Red Sonja's theme in this movie is so good, and it leaves you wanting a sequel. I want to go on another adventure with Red Sonja. So it did what it needed to do. It gave a fully realized story with a complete arc for pretty much all of our characters that feels satisfying, has emotions, it has the comedy, has some fun action and sexy people all around, and it made me want another one. So then, what doesn't work so well when it comes to Red Sonja? Well, I already talked about it. Some of these side characters acting, ugh, not the best. And I will say, while the themes of Red Sonja work really well in the screenplay, the dialogue is very hit or miss. Sometimes there's a cute interaction that works really well or a speech that works well, but then we get some lines that are very cheesy. And I actually don't think that would have been as big of a problem if they had leaned into that cheese more. We have a couple moments where the film kind of winks at the audience. It feels more fun, a little bit campy, but by and large, I actually think it takes itself quite seriously and pays respect to the character and the messages it's delivering. But in turn, by taking it seriously to this degree, that also makes the kind of cringe moments stand out. And then we have the CGI, as I mentioned before. Sometimes it looks pretty good, nothing on the scale of Marvel or, DC or anything, but it looks solid. And then other times we get a creature and you're like, whoa, that is kind of crazy. What is that under-rendered thing running around this actual forest? Or when she jumps and it blatantly is a big blue or green screen behind her, and you're like, that is not good. Or we get this Cyclops whose design is cool and sometimes looks okay, other times, once more, looks kind of under-rendered in the final product. So it makes me wish we actually had gotten even more practical effects on the creatures specifically, rather than going the CGI route so heavily on them. Even this like spinning glowy wheel, I think could have been accomplished practically. Instead, it looks like a bit of an eyesore, very obvious special effect. And then when it comes to the action, they definitely have to make some cuts. It's not the smoothest choreography. It's also not the most fluently filmed. But in saying that, it actually looks better than a lot of action films with a much larger budget. It's much more comprehensible than the Jason Bourne films. Let's say that. So it's not bad. It's just not the smoothest action. But overall, I think what they accomplished for Red Sonja with the resources that they were given is really fun. It gave me all the fantasy tropes I love. It gave me the messages and the themes I love and delivered them very well. And at the center of it is a great depiction of Red Sonja from Matilda Lutz, who on her own carries this film to what it needs to be. Start to finish, I was having a lot of fun, and yeah, I felt myself getting fully swept up in that third act with the emotions, with the epicness, with the fantasy action fun of it all. So overall, I had a really good time with Red Sonja. If you're not big into the character, or you're not big into like these gladiator style fantasy action films, I don't know that you need to seek Red Sonja out. I don't think it's actually going to do all that much for you. But if you're down for kind of an old school action fantasy flick with a badass woman at the center of it, check this out as soon as it hits streaming. I think you're going to have some fun with Red Sonja. So that was my review for Red Sonja. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you hyped to check out Red Sonja, or did you also see it in theaters like I did? Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions either in that comment section down below, or you can hit me up over on Twitter and Blue Sky. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.